Good morning, Merrill. How are you?
Good morning, Parul. I'm very well, thank you. And you?
Yeah, I'm great. Lovely to see you today. And thank you very much for your time.
No, absolutely my pleasure. And thank you so much for the privilege of being here. It's great to be chatting to you. And yeah, I hope our
Okay.
viewers are going to enjoy our topic that we're going to discuss today.
Okay, thank you. Well, everyone, this is Parul Begum, your regular host, from Life and Leadership Coach. And as you know, we bring you regular videos on topic of self-confidence, looking at different issues, whether that is domestic violence, abusive relationship, anxiety, forgiveness, the whole lot. So today is another episode of our regular video talking about forgiveness. And we have a special guest from all the way from South Africa, Merrill Isherwood. She is a life transformational coach. She has her own company and she does a lot of work. And she is a regular executive contributor to the Brains magazine. I'm not going to introduce her too much because I want you to hear from herself. So, Merrill, if you could please introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do, that would be fantastic.
Sure, Parul, thank you. So my name is Merrill Isherwood, as Parul said, and I'm a life transformation coach. And I specifically, I know there are many titles for life coaches, but for me and my personal journey through my coaching experience is it was a dramatic transformation for me, both in terms of physical, I was really broken from where I'd come from before, and emotionally and mentally transformed my thinking about life, just in general. So yes, I'd left corporate. I was for many, many, many years in the service industry and focusing more on business travel management, which is quite a sort of niche focus in the travel industry. And then in beginning of 2019, I decided I'm tired of the corporate roller coaster and the wheel that we all get onto, and just decided really my life. I'm quite sure I'm meant to be doing different things with my life. I had always had this yen to help people. So my entire life, I've been one of those people. I refer to myself as a people enabler, um, because it's really just enabling people to find purpose in their lives and to find a way to carry on when bad things have happened in their lives, to find a way to continue. And in November, so I did do a psychological counseling course or degree, and because I wanted to become a full-time psychologist. Unfortunately, the finances and being a single mom put pay to that. But in 2019, it's November, I did a life coaching course with Afeen Khan, and it really transformed my life. I used to, I was the worst person because I used to read all these things about, oh, my life was transformed. And I thought, that's never going to happen to me. And then it did, you know, just my outlook, I was incredibly just miserable all the time. I was angry at the world all the time. I'm going to share something a lot of people won't know or don't know is I did try committing suicide.
Oh,
And yeah, under ridiculous circumstances, other people managed to save me. So my feeling there was, I'm so useless and so pathetic, I can't even kill myself properly. And yes, when I did Arfine's course, was just, I was watching one of his videos, and there was this, literally the light went on to go, stop being a victim. And nobody can change your life except you. So better you get up and actually do something about it. And yes, so I've now been coaching. I was accredited in June last year, and I've been coaching since then. And what an absolutely amazing and awe-inspiring privilege to coach people. Listening to their stories and just realizing how incredibly resilient the human spirit is and how fulfilling it is to be able to make that difference in people's lives that I've been wanting to do for so many years, and now I'm actually doing it. So yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing story, Merrill, to hear it. I'm sorry to hear, you tried to, take your life twice, but
Yeah.
what you've done to yourself, transformation of yourself, you mentioned an important point, not to stay as a victim, not to play as a victim, but to, transform your
Absolutely.
life. And now you are transforming hundreds of people's lives, that is amazing. And I'm sure our audience will take a lot of value from what you got to offer on the rest of the interview. Yeah, you kind of answer my next question. My next question was why you decided to be a life transformation coach. If you want to add anything, add, and then I'll ask you next question.
Okay, Shem, thanks. Yes, so it was just also with, and even more so with the initial transformation of myself, it was that understanding that, I'm basically my own walking testimony to what coaching can do for you.
Yeah.
But also something that, and I'm so pleased that we chatting about forgiveness today, because that was something that I didn't go through in the initial transformation. It was something that through the coaching, my work on myself, my own self-development, ended up leading me to that forgiveness, because I was progressing quite nicely, one step in front of the other and doing quite well. But something just, I didn't feel that freedom that people often speak about when they go through transformation. I felt much better. I was more optimistic about life. I was more optimistic about my future. But I didn't feel that lightness that, so many coaches that I've looked at, and you have it as well, so many coaches that I've looked at and spoken to just seem to have this, I think it's really lightness of being, if that makes any sense. And when you talk to them, it's just, yes, that sense of freedom. And I happened to come across a blog that, again, just kept, and I'd read it I easily 100, probably even closer to 200 times before.
Wow.
It spoke about forgiveness, and you need to forgive to be able to move forward. And I kept thinking, well, yeah, I've sort of forgiven, that people that had caused me so much hurt and pain and anger and all that kind of stuff. But it was only truly in meditation, and taking time to be still, to ask the question. And even with that, when people used to say to me, you just ask the universe this question and the answer will come to you. And I used to, that doesn't happen, in real life, that doesn't happen. But when I actually sat in that quiet time, reflecting about and asking that question about why, what is it, I've done everything that I read in all the blogs, in all the coaching things, in the coaching course. I've done all of these things, but I don't feel that same sense of freedom. And in the one session specifically, I said, but you keep on reading these lines about forgiveness, but you're not actually understanding what it's saying to you. And I asked for more wisdom in that area. And that was really what was the crux of me actually starting to do coaching on forgiveness, was I'm a very practical kind of person. And that's also why coaching appealed to me versus the psychology, because the psychology is all great. And you go back to where what had caused the issues. but there are no actual practical steps on how to overcome the issues that you've gone through. And with the forgiveness, it was, okay, I can sit here and I can go, yes, I forgive this person and that person and whoever. But until I actually developed and using some of the coaching techniques that we'd used for other issues, I used those for forgiveness and actually did them myself. And it was, again, like that second light going on. And that freedom, it was literally like somebody taking this heavy cloak that I was wearing and carrying around, like when you're carrying heavy shopping bags or something like that, it's like this just weighs you down. And it was literally like that cloak had just been lifted off me. And yeah, it was like the final dark cloud that had been hanging over my head was just removed. And yeah, so there, as I coach people and as I get to know myself better, there's additional self-development that happens. And I think this is what is so exciting about life coaching, is that each person that you coach, you learn something more about them and life and about yourself, because you then start thinking, okay, have I really sorted these issues out in my own life? So yes, so in terms of the life transformation coach, definitely something that I think as long as we're doing it, and I think once it gets into your blood, that becomes who you are, not necessarily just what you do. And yeah, being able to truly make a difference in people's lives is awesome.
Thank you, Miriam. I think you talk about quite a lot of important point. One of the point you said, it does not happen overnight. You have to work on it to truly forgive someone. We might say, okay, I've forgiven someone, but staying. I was exactly same position where you were. It takes time to work on yourself. Working is all in subconscious mind, is always there. But if you take a step to improve yourself, there's nothing can stop you. And I just want to say to the audience as well, if you're stuck on something, if you're blaming someone for their fault, what they've done to you, take your time, reach out for help. And there's Merrill there, myself, there's quite a lot of other interview, you watch them, and get out there, because if you just stuck the mindset of always, you're going to be stuck in there. But you have to work on it, and that's how you get to the point you want to get to.
Absolutely.
Yes, so thank you, Merrill. My next question is why you have decided to write an article on forgiveness in Ben's magazine, which is really famous. And that's the first part. The second part is why forgiveness is so important to move forward with life. I know you already mentioned some of your journey, but as a transformation coach, it'll be really nice to hear from your expertise why you've decided on this topic and why it's important.
Thank you, Parul. I specifically chose to write the article on forgiveness because it's not something that is widely spoken about or as widely covered in coaching topics as many of the other things. We read often about things like the limiting beliefs, the perceptions of ourselves, which also revolves around the limiting beliefs. Things like trying to keep our life in balance, it's different aspects of our lives. But you don't often read much about forgiveness. And it's something that knowing the difference that going through my own activities, how they help me, was also just wanting to share that information with others. And I'd also had one of my clients that came to see me for something completely unrelated. And in the discussion, I just asked her the question and I said to her, I get the feeling that you're really battling to forgive somebody who has hurt you deeply in your life. And we followed through with the following session because she got quite emotional. She said, it's something I never talk about. And I said, well, we're going to talk about it. We need to actually deal with it. And in our following session, we went through the activity and it was so powerful for her. And when I was thinking about that topic for my brain's article, it was just for me, it was the obvious choice because I'd seen that the difference it had made in her life and various other people that I've coached in that area and my own. And I just wanted to share that with more people. And the reason also why I think there are a lot of people who've gone through coaching courses. I'm not sure if it's offered in many coaching courses, but certainly the courses that I've been privy to and that I know, fellow coaches have gone on, don't cover forgiveness to the depth that I feel that it should be covered in. And so this is really just the touch. I'm busy writing it's short ebook on it as well, because it's just literally from that time, because things were going well. As I say, there was still, or I still felt limited to a certain extent and not feeling that complete freedom. And after I'd gone through the forgiveness exercise, it was my life really only then, really started flowing. And those stumbling blocks that I was coming across didn't seem to be there anymore. Or if they were, I just dealt with them differently. Because my attitude and my outlook and everything was now completely clear of anything sort of holding you back. And as I say, it's something that I think we can, if I had to sort of work in percentages, sort of the 100% of the baggage that I was carrying around with me from my life journey, okay, and the experiences that I'd had, I would say probably 80% of that was resolved in the coaching, in the actual coaching course. But that last 20%, which although it's a small portion of the 100%, was just that needed to be cleared completely before I could really move forward. And the only way I can say to our audience or explain it to our audience is, imagine if you're carrying 100 kilograms of extra weight on you, the actual baggage, on you, shopping bags, whatever, or suitcases that you're carrying with you. And you still have that extra 20 kilograms to carry around with you all the time. It gets really tiring. And I honestly think also with the forgiveness, there were so many other things I hated. And I know hate is a strong word, but I hated the people that had hurt me so badly. So although I forgave them, I said I'd forgiven them, there was still that feeling of, yeah, but you're still a terrible person and how could you do that to me, kind of thing. But when I'd actually gone through the forgiveness activities, that was gone, because I no longer feel that I need to try and answer for them or try and help them or try and make them feel guilty because of what they did to me. It was just gone, which is what allowed that complete freedom. Because it's their life. They chose the path that they did. They chose to treat me the way that they did, in whichever way they did. And it's them who now needs to sort their own karma out. Mine is sorted, and that's a wonderful feeling. It's really the most liberating feeling. And I really want others to be able to experience that as well.
Wow, that is great. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the points is, you forgiving them for yourself, not for them. And they have to find their own way of their own issues. But, sometimes people hurt you because they have their own issues. So they reflect on you. But, you might forgive them, but you might still remember the issue. But forgiving them is a way forward for your own transformation, for your own way forward, really. Because otherwise, as you said, 100 kilo, then you give up 80%, still 20 kilo is still on your shoulder, on your brain, pressure in your brain, and you can't move forward, really. So, taking that off slowly, and that you just feel relieved, and that's where the transformation happened, absolutely great point.
And also something, just touching on that, is forgiving yourself. I think that's, and
Yeah.
sorry, I actually got goosebumps when you were chatting now, because with that forgiving of them also came, you know what, I mean, we make choices in our lives, and they end up being the wrong ones, okay, in this our story that we expect to live, kind of thing. It ends up being the wrong one. And at the time, we blame ourselves. If I hadn't have been in this position, the person wouldn't have been able to abuse me. Or if I'd been in this position, the person couldn't have held this or that, against me. And through forgiving them is realizing this activity is nothing if I can't forgive myself. And even though it wasn't the experience I was hoping for when I went into it, look at what I've learned from that, and look at the difference that it's now making in my life. Look at the opportunities, having gone through that abuse or whatever it is. It was horrendous at the time, but now having learned through it, look how I can help other people. So it's also almost, and I know this sounds crazy, almost being grateful to that person that they put me through it, because that's what has made me who I am today. That is what has made me stronger. Instead of being weak and feeling defenseless and useless and hopeless and all that kind of thing before, I now know that I'm strong and I can help other people go through that. And yeah, teach them the same lessons that I had to learn.
Wow. I'm going to ask you an interesting question now. How do you felt after you felt transformed? What do you do? Celebrate? What was your feeling? Can you go back and kind of share with our audience? How did you feel when you felt the 100 kilo is gone from your shoulders?
Yeah, just my family. I've got two. They're grown up now, but two sons, and my sons had grown up around this mother who my whole life revolved around them, because they really were the only thing that made me get up every morning and do things. I had to care for them. There was nobody else. I was a single mum. And my youngest son was just on 18 months when I got divorced. My oldest one was just under 6. And we walked away with virtually nothing. And they had their entire lives basically had been around this woman, this mother, who was, I did things, but it was literally almost like a machine going through the motions of living. And yes, I'd be excited for their achievements and all that kind of stuff. So anything around them was fantastic. But for my own life, it was I was just miserable. I was a horrible, miserable person. And just everything in the world was wrong. Everything with everybody else was wrong. Everything with me was wrong. I saw myself really as just, and that's why even the second time that I tried committing suicide was my oldest son was 9. And it was just, they would be better off without me because I'm so miserable to be around all the time. I didn't want them to live or to see life as being something terrible. And I did. I hated the fact that these people had saved me and actually stopped me from committing suicide. And almost tried my utmost to convince myself how terrible life was, and feeling guilty if I felt any kind of pleasure because I'd made such wrong choices in my life. And when I went through that transformation was, for me to be out of bed on a Sunday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, dressed, makeup on, ready to take action, in my life, it was like, Ma, are you feeling all right? What's going on? And that's also why I have such a passion for the coaching and like for the forgiveness, because I wasted so many of my years being miserable. And for who? For who? Because I hated these people so much. and I let them destroy my life. And I really, all I can do is urge the viewers to say, you know what, nobody is worth that. You know, they didn't think you were worth anything, otherwise they would never have treated you that way. But at the same time, I allowed it, almost enabling that abuse, where I should have put a stop to it much quicker. I didn't feel that I had the strength at that time. And if I can be somebody else's strength to get them through making their choice to be able to live a better life, I will do whatever I can. So it really was. It was just a daily celebration of, I'm alive. I've still got a chance. There's some reason God or the higher power kept me here. And I believe now that that is the reason, is because I can help people get over similar things to what I went through and allow them to also have this renewed zest for life and being able to contribute some, actually being involved in my son's lives in every aspect, not just being present, but actually being physically involved and emotionally involved in my son's lives is the most amazing gift anybody could ever have given me.
Wow.
So yes, and unfortunately it was COVID, so we couldn't really go out and celebrate that much out there. But the daily celebration, to wake up every day and go, you know what, I've got another chance. I have yet another day to try and make a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you hit the nail really. We have only one life, and we have to look after ourselves. Yes, we have family, we have children, but we got to look after ourselves and put ourselves first priority. As a mom, yes, our children are first priority, always put that. But if you don't look after yourself, who else? And when you look after yourself, then you can look after your children. And as I say, lots of people who I've seen is, and I've been through the same situation, stuck in that thought process. Yes, this person done this to me, this is not good enough, and we're blaming the whole world, blaming this person, that person. But what we don't realize is blaming only give us stress, not relief. So what we need to find is find a way forward to relieving from those stress.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm still seeing it. I mean, I've through my coaching, I try to help lots of people who are stuck in the thought process. As you said, Merrill, sometimes we allow abuse to happen. Is finding a way to strengthen yourself and then stand up for yourself. I mean, I've been personally bullied 3 times at least, long time. So I understand, people, and when I talk to some of the people who in workplace bullying is horrific, but people allowing it is standing up and saying enough is enough. I'm not going to stand, I'm not going to take this anymore. I've got one life. Why should I take it? And I think, every person have a different situation and people are stuck in the situation, but also there is help available. People like yourself, me, but there's hundreds of materials available. Nowadays, at the top of a button, there's lots of materials available. You talk to meditation, visual, I do lots of visualization. So there is lots of things available for people to tap in, which is great. So my final question to you, Merrill, is you got so much experience and you help quite a lot of people. If you want to leave one thoughts for our audience, what that would be?
And you just touched on it now, is so often we allow ourselves to be in these positions because we don't think we're good enough. And we allow what people have said to us during our lives to cloud our thinking and cloud our judgment about ourselves. So I'd like to leave with our listeners or our viewers the thought that there is nothing less about you than any other person on this planet. And don't allow yourself to listen to the negative things that people say about you, or even your own negative perceptions about yourself, because you can change your life. You have the most incredible potential within you. And don't leave that stagnant like I did for so many years and waste your life. There are people, including yourself, who deserve to have you present and living the life of joy that you can actually have.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Merrill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of end of our episode today. And I'm going to say, before I say goodbye to our audience, Merrill, is there anything else you want to say? And also how people can get in touch with you?
Okay. So my website is probably the easiest. It's really easy. So it's just www.merrills, MERRILLS.co.za. And if they complete the contact form there, they'll come through straight through to me. So I'm always the first point of contact for anybody who to come through on the website. And I would love to hear from you. Yeah, there are many areas. You can also have a look at my website to see the other areas of specialization that I have. And I would love to hear from you. And Parul, just thank you so much again for having me. It's been lovely chatting to you, and I really hope that our viewers have enjoyed the session. And yes, we get lots of views.
Thank you very much, Merrill. And thank you very much for your time. You have given us so many valuable points, and I'm sure our audience will take the points onward and, to move forward with their life. And I just want to say to audience, we will be bringing regular interview like this, with different topics. And you've seen quite a lot of other interviews I've done, regular basis with other people as well, who had issues and challenges, and then how they move forward with the life. And it's really important, as I say, I think recent pandemic have shown us how important the life is and how important to celebrate life, because you don't know when our turn would be. There is always someone up there, and you never know when you'll be taken. So enjoy, celebrate, and live a life you deserve. Yeah. So please do share the video with others, because we want these messages to go to every person who's struggling with life, and subscribe to it so you get an alert, when our next video coming. Yeah, like, subscribe, and share. And if you got anything you want to contact us, please feel free to message me as well. And you go Merrill's details. I'll put also her details in below the video as well on the description. So I just want to say goodbye from me for today's episode, and we'll come back soon. And thank you very much, Merrill.
Lovely. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.